You talk about apology. I think the one that you should really be apologizing for, and the thing that you should be apologizing for, are the 33,000 emails that you deleted and that you acid washed. And then the 2 boxes of emails and other things last week that were taken from an office and are now missing. And I'll tell you what, I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm going to say it. And I hate to say it, but if I win, I am going to instruct my Attorney General to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception. There has never been anything like it. And we're going to have a special prosecutor. When I speak, I go out and speak. The people of this country are furious. In my opinion, the people that have been long-term workers at the FBI are furious. There has never been anything like this, where emails and you get a subpoena, and after getting the subpoena, you delete 33,000 emails. And then you acid wash them, or bleach them, as you would say, a very expensive process. So we're going to get a special prosecutor, and we're going to look into it, because you know what? People have been... their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, did President Obama secretly pardon himself and Hillary Clinton in a practice that's been going on all the way back to Richard Nixon and even further, where presidents secretly pardon themselves for their crimes and pass along the tradition to the next coming in? And Donald Trump said no. We're going to take a look at that, plus the latest Q posts and a whole lot more. I hope you guys enjoy. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. So I always like to say thank you to everybody. Hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted in. Hey, hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. But today, we're going to look at the latest new Q posts, and they are directly related to the rally that happened tonight in North Carolina. And there's some interesting stuff we're going to cover there, plus a story that's been around for a while. This was being reported on. It was on the boards, and then it was reported on by Lionel back in 2018. But it's a very important theory that I want to bring up again, because we have to continue to bring these new theories up, and even some of the old ones, to kind of make sense of what's happening today, and especially for people who are new to this. So if you guys want to learn more about this incredible theory about secret pardons, you're going to want to stick around and watch that, plus a few interesting news stories and a whole bunch of other stuff. So before we do that, come here if you can, watch these last few videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. Obviously, Google doesn't want certain information getting out there. YouTube, it seems like when you put certain content and things, it becomes very noticeable, as far as your views dropping when you put clips from maybe testimony on Capitol Hill that Google doesn't want getting out there, just possibly. So, you guys got to help. Come hit the share button for yourself. There's a share button at the bottom of this video, but the algorithms are not going to be putting this in any suggested video box. And it's very obvious and pronounced what is happening to this channel and many others. So if you could, please hit the share button, watch these last videos, get them on your social media. And if you're scratching your head going, what is QAnon, the Great Awakening? Please watch this video and share this on your social media. Get the word out that way. That helps out the channel more than you guys will ever know. So we got to keep doing it that way, because we don't really have any other choice at this point. So that's where we're going to leave it and jump right into the latest Q posts. All right, so these are going to be pretty simple, pretty quick. We're going to go right through them. First of all, President Trump gave a speech tonight in North Carolina, one of his rallies. Great, epic. Watch the whole thing. There was so much intensity, passion. He commented about Omar and Ocasio-Cortez and the rest of them, and the Democrats he's going to be going up against in 2020. And it was really a great speech, great vibe, great presence. But there was this one moment that Q's highlighting that was, I guess, pretty important if you're an Anon and a Q follower. So first of all, there's this cute baby, and it's got a little onesie that seems to have a Q on the back. Okay, interestingly enough, Q points to that photo and says, where we go one, we go all. Q. The next one here is a Twitter post from this the Crimson Jet, the Keck bomb, whatever you want to call him. Says, what are the odds on this? And it gives us this post from 2018, right? where it says twitter.com QAnon baby status is the name of the file. That was a tweet. And it says important moment in time. The picture will be the signifier. The signifier will force the Q. The Q will be answered. Where we go one, we go all Q. So obviously, what's the Q? The Q is the question about QAnon, the one that has been asked once before in the White House press room, but never again, really. And it was kind of brushed off. But the reality is that I guess the Q is the major question. When the mainstream media will start acknowledging Q for what it is and start investigating these crimes. See, but they've been unable to up to this point because of the fact that they are allegedly complicit. We know that, in fact, they are complicit, at least in a cover-up of a lot of these people's actions, but we can't really say definitively whether certain people are involved, although if you look at the connections between people like Anderson Cooper and his mom, Gloria Vanderbilt, and their pictures of the crib or the child's room with the satanic paintings, yeah, you can start putting some stuff together for yourself. And then here's a close-up picture of that baby, and it is a Q on the back. And if you guys want to watch, I'm going to show you the clip right now of President Trump basically at the rally, and this is what happened.
Or anybody. In fact, I'm disliked, but actually they respect us. That's more important. Look at that beautiful baby. Look at that beautiful baby. Wow, what a baby. What a baby. That is a beautiful baby. That's like from an advertisement. Perfect. Look how happy that baby is. So beautiful. Thank you, darling. That's really nice. So it's a great thing. Is that your husband? That's a great thing. Thank you. Congratulations, husband. Man. What a picture. Well, we're going to have the country all set for your child, okay? All set. Because that's what it's about. Now, the media will say that's a prop. They say, no baby is so beautiful. That had to be a setup. I never saw that guy in my life, which is true. Thank you. Good luck. Thank you very much.
So there you have it. That was a pretty interesting clip as you saw President Trump kind of out of nowhere just points right at that baby and says, oh, what a beautiful baby. And then he makes the comment, as you saw there, about how the mainstream media is going to think that it was a plant and that he's making it up, but that it was a very, handsome baby, whatever. And I mean, obviously, there comes a point where you just kind of look at this and go, well, it's going to eventually happen, but we just got to figure out how it's going to happen and if it actually will be answered. As Q pointed out in that tweet, it says the Q will be answered. Well, we'll have to see, right? It says outside of the standard deviation, Q. So again, this goes back to what Q's been telling us for a long time about how, when you look at these in a pattern, in the sense of a pattern, it's mathematically impossible to have this many coincidences. It would be far outside the standard deviation of coincidences. So this is what Q is referring to. So for anybody out there who's interested, I guess that would be the takeaway. Don't forget, today is July 17th or yesterday, depending on where you're watching this, probably yesterday for most of you, but today was July 17th. Obviously, it's the 17th. This was the day that Mueller was supposed to testify on Capitol Hill, but that got pushed back a week. Q originally told us about stealth bomber running its first flights on July 17th back in the 80s. And obviously, moves and counter moves. That's what Q tells us all the time. Something gets posted on the board, the deep state reacts, and then they change their plan. And it's constantly back and forth like that. So I guess they pushed it back a week for Mueller because they probably freaked out and were trying to figure out what Q was saying about expecting this on the 17th. But it's not a coincidence. Today's the 17th. And Q says to this Anon, who posts the screenshot of that tweet and basically says, well outside. And Q says, date today, 17th. How many coincidences before mathematically impossible for Anons, Patriots, Q? So this is a special message to us, I think, that if people would just open up their eyes, they would be able to see very clearly But I'm not here to try to, change their minds. Actually, I am trying. I'm trying to change everyone's mind to see that this is real. But some people want to live in a state of ignorance, and that is their choice and their freedom as an American. Now, unless they're trying to govern me, and then I take issue with it, right? But here we are. Today's date, the 17th. How many coincidences? I don't know, but certainly are a lot. Now, the next thing is this tweet that Q points us to, and it says, "Sheep no more Q." And I'm going to play the full clip on this because if you guys want to talk about a fun way to spend your day, then I'm going to give you a recommendation. Spend like 8 hours from the minute you wake up till the minute you go to sleep watching Senate Judiciary Subcommittee hearings. It's a blast. I did that all day yesterday. I have a ton of footage that I was basically clipping because there was a lot of stuff here. And this happened to be one of the things that I clipped was this exchange between Senator Ted Cruz and this guy who's a psychologist named Dr. Epstein. No relation, obviously, to Jeffrey Epstein, I would assume. But he's here with Ted Cruz, telling Ted Cruz that with the way Google so what he did was he went out and he did all these studies about how Google could sway an election and said, basically, in his opinion, at least in 2016, at least 2.6 million people's votes were influenced toward Hillary Clinton from Google and their secret manipulation of the algorithms, their subliminal programming that they do on individuals like yourself and others, just normal individuals, right? Probably not you guys, because you guys are too smart for that, but most people, right? And so, look, this is a clip we're going to watch real quick. I want to show this to you a little bit more than the clip that's here because there's a lot to this, and the guy explains it, and I think it's a clip that's worth watching, so I hope you guys enjoy.
With no transparency or accountability whatsoever. Am I understanding you correctly?
Senator, with respect, I must correct you.
Please.
If Mark Zuckerberg chooses to send out a go vote reminder just to Democrats on Election Day, that doesn't cost him a dime.
Fair enough. Do you happen to know who the Hillary Clinton campaign's #1 financial supporter was in the year 2016?
I think I do, but please remind me.
The #1 financial supporter of the Hillary Clinton campaign in the 2016 election was the parent company of Google, Alphabet, who was our first witness. They were her #1 financial donor, and your testimony is, through their deceptive search methods, they moved 2.6 million votes in her direction. I would think anybody, whether or not you favor one candidate or another, should be deeply dismayed about a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires having that much power over our elections to silently and deceptively shift vote outcomes.
Again, with respect, I must correct you. The 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million, depending on how aggressively they used the techniques that I've been studying now for 6.5 years.
Wow, could you just say that again, please?
The 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million votes, depending on how aggressive they were in using the techniques that I've been studying, such as the search engine manipulation effect, the search suggestion effect, the answer bot effect, and a number of others. They control these, and no one can counteract them. These are not competitive. These are tools that they have at their disposal exclusively.
Okay, so what you just saw there was Dr. Epstein telling Ted Cruz basically that 2.6 million, according to his research and his studies, and it's pretty empirically backed when you look at the amount of extensive research that he did on this, was that the minimum was 2.6 million people who were swayed to vote for Hillary Clinton, and that if they wanted to put their real, elbows on the scale, they could have pushed it up to 10.4 million, but there's absolutely no way to find out whether or not they did, there's absolutely no way to figure out how many people they actually did push in that direction. And he even notes, as you'll see in the clip I'm showing, which is a more extended clip of it, that they basically could have done this without any, without anybody even knowing. They wouldn't have to spend any money. All Mark Zuckerberg would have to do, as it says here, and when you watch it, is put out a private message or just a message to all Democrats that says today is, voting day, go vote. And he could push 1 million people to go vote that wouldn't have otherwise voted. That wouldn't cost Mark Zuckerberg 1 penny. And they're already trying to create this digital currency, this Libra currency, in order to basically try to, these people are trying to siphon the wealth out of this country. It's insane what they're trying to do. But they're going to fail, but it's really insane what they're trying to do. And that's an aside to what we're talking about here. But yeah, that was fascinating. So I hope you guys enjoyed that part. Now to the main theory you guys have probably been waiting for here. This is something interesting. So I've known about this from a while ago, but when you do the Q stuff, it's always good to come back and hit on things again when they, I guess when you've talked about so much and you have to come back to things, and that's what this is all about, future-proofing past. So we're going to look back to the past. But this was a theory. Now, according to this person, they originally posted this theory on 8chan a year ago. Then a few days later, Lionel Media picked it up and made a story about it. And then he went, and then obviously, I think just after that was when Lionel went to the White House to see President Trump. But this is fascinating. This talks about secret pardons and has this been going on since the beginning. So what this theory contends, without getting into it too deeply before we look at some of the parts of this thread, is that every president since, I guess, Nixon, and maybe before that, has basically, before leaving office on the last day, issued a pardon for themselves and all of their corrupt friends. And because this is perfectly legal, they could deem that classified information, they could have it sealed, and it would just exist. And that might be why people like Hillary Clinton and others have been walking around so confident that they would never be prosecuted. And that this could have been a part of a much larger plan that was set up after the January 20th of 2017, in order to entrap these people in new crimes, because there was no way to actually indict them on old crimes. Now, there's a few things to remember. Presidential pardons don't apply to military crimes. So if you're going to be facing a military tribunal for crimes against this country, that doesn't count. So there are still ways that we could get Hillary, I believe, when it comes to, and others, when it comes to the way they betrayed our country with the email servers in China. But it'd be hard to prove that case. But it does pertain to crimes that happened here, but it also doesn't. It only pertains to federal crimes. It doesn't pertain to state, local crimes. So there's all types of different cases that could be made. But that's why it's important to remember to keep looking at places like New York City and California, because if these crimes were committed in those states, they have very liberal governors and mayors, and they're never going to prosecute and representatives. So they're never going to bring the charges, especially if they've corrupted each state attorney general's office and so on. That to me is something that, okay, well, we know that. But then this theory goes into the fact that there was like this genius plan that was set up to basically entrap them after the fact. So if they're issued a pardon, so you say I was pardoned on January 20th, 2017 on 11:59 p.m., whatever, the last moment of President Obama's, Hussein's administration, that everything from that moment backwards, within whatever period stipulated with it or on the pardon itself, I am completely pardoned from any kind of culpability or indictments or whatever there. But then everything from that moment forward, you can't pardon somebody for a crime they have yet to commit in the future. So, but this goes back to the whole thing with Nixon. So President Nixon, if you'll remember, was pardoned by Gerald Ford for all the crimes that happened within a certain time period when he was president, and from that period backwards to a different period or different date, they were basically saying that even if there's evidence that comes forward in the future about crimes that took place on these dates in the past, you can't convict him because he's been cleared. He's been pardoned. Now, this might have had something to do with, as this has been reported on here by Lionel Media and this person, they talked about this a while ago, and I think it's a fascinating story, but they were talking about how basically this would have worked as President Nixon could have actually pardoned himself before leaving office and then told Gerald Ford, hey, you either are going to pardon me, or when they try to bring charges against me, there's going to be rioting in the streets because people are going to realize that I pardoned myself, and then you're not going to be able to pardon yourself, basically, if you do anything wrong, that kind of thing. So let's look at this theory. It's very fascinating. It says, what if every U.S. president issued secret pardons for himself and cronies and then sealed the records only to be revealed if needed to cover crimes later? And yes, you can pardon for future crimes. And that was the Nixon example I just gave you. It says Trump tweeted in 2018 he could absolutely pardon himself. Anytime Trump tweets something, it's a trap for the Dems. Trump knew Obama had pardoned himself. And then they attach the constitutional law that shows that they can do that. So that's fascinating, right? Then here, number 4, it says, Q number 7 states why Hillary Clinton wasn't prosecuted by Obama. What if Obama issued HRC a secret pardon on January 19th of 2017 under the guise of protecting America from the Russians? Other pardons, state pardons, treason, and military crimes can't be pardoned. Think 9/11. That was going back to what I was saying about crimes like military crimes and treason that can't be pardoned because that's not included in that pardon power ability. So the next one here, 5, says, they never thought she would lose, so they were forced to pardon to stall until they could impeach Trump, but the NSA had it all. Military planning at its finest. Now imagine a multi-year sting operation to catch them in new crimes after January 20th, 2017. Wow. Well, that would be fascinating. It says, during this sting operation by the good guys, we would need a 2-year distraction and bait. Trump perfectly filled both roles by getting the mainstream media focused on him rather than these investigations: Sessions, Horowitz, Huber, Whitaker, Durham, Barr, declassification. This makes perfect sense if you're following along here. It says, now 7, now that the trap was set and the Dems took the bait, Trump needed a legal mechanism to convict a tiny group of U.S. citizens for treason in 2017, 2018 tribunals. Schumer, Pelosi. The Spy confirmed last week that 9/11 tribunals already had happened. Whatever that means, I don't know about that. That's more speculative, and I can't tell you anything on this one because if this happened, Schumer and Pelosi are still in office, right? So I don't know. Anyway, it says, before we get into how military tribunals were legally held against some traitors, let's examine how Trump surrounded himself from day one with Marines, the only branch of the military the president can call up without Congress, his own private United States Secret Service. Yes, I think this is what makes more sense about the people he's been surrounding himself with. That's, I think, something we've known from the beginning. Then, of course, number 9 says Trump uses their own laws against them. Joint Senate Resolution 23 was passed after 9/11, making it legal to try a U.S. citizen in a tribunal for 9/11 crimes. Does Payne 23 equal JSR 23? Is this why Q number 977 is about 9/11 hit by HRC? Well, here's something fascinating. We had one of the passwords from the Q persona at some point exposed to us, purposefully given to us by Q. And I think it was called Payne in, and it had ___ -23. So now this is very interesting. It's asking, is JSR 23 what's being referred to here, which was obviously the ability for the military to impanel and to prosecute using tribunal persons involved in the crime of September 11th, 2001, the World Trade Centers and the other attacks. So then this was a post Q gave us back in June of 2018 saying, what else might 23 refer to? Dash versus minus military. So I think this makes perfect sense if you look at it. So JSR 23 is what they're going to use to go after some of these people who are involved. And that might be a fascinating way of looking at this. Q619 made it clear that HRC, Barack Obama, and George Soros would never be tried in public court. It always had to be a military tribunal. Now ask yourself, why Trump's first state trip was Saudi Arabia, which nation could provide the best 9/11 evidence against them? And this is an interesting theory if you read through it. October 7, 2017, the Vegas shooting happens. Q92 and 134 make it clear Saudi Arabia's Princess Al-Walid was involved. I believe this was their final big battle, and it allowed Trump to put Twitter into U.S. military receivership after the 12/21/17 executive order. This is all fascinating stuff. I don't know if any of it's true. It's very speculative, but it's fascinating. It says a week later, Q starts posting on October 28, 2017, probably because one side of the pyramid had fallen for the first time in history with overthrow of Saudi Arabia. New Crown Prince MBS Mohammed bin Salman takes over, and he's praised by Trump during his first secret trip to North Korea on November 17th. And of course, finally here it says, Q623 says 12/21/17 executive order made Trump the boss. Q, no deals but hostages. Yes. What if very few of the worst chose to delay execution or get life in prison by releasing 10,000 plus kids admitting guilt on film and being implanted with kill switch? I don't know about any of this, but this is a fascinating take. I thought I'd share it with you guys. I hope that that makes sense. Here's another story. We're going to just quickly talk about Facebook patents showing show that shadow banning software, or they're patenting shadow banning software after promising that they don't shadow ban. I mean, this is just, and John Brennan, of course, is still nervous, and he may be one of the people who actually got a pardon as well. So I think that we have to really start rethinking how this all is going down, and it's going to be crimes that these people have committed in the last 2 years. I think that we're going to have to try to get them on, and I'm not sure how it's all going to play out, but we're going to have to wait and see, because that's definitely something to pay attention to. Now, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Before we go, a few things. Come here, watch these videos, share them on your social media. Also, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about all of this stuff. A few other ways you can help the channel. Come over here and find me on Twitter at JustInformedTalk, or at JustInformedYou, I should say, the official Twitter page for JustInformedTalk. Come here, give me a follow. We can have a conversation. It's a cool place to connect outside of the channel. Also, come check out justinformednews.com. That's justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Here are the links to the Q stuff, different news sites, and breaking news, and of course, the latest videos from the channel here. So you guys should go check that out as well. Also, I have a new channel. It is the Just Informed Podcast. So if you guys want to go check that out and get other content, kind of more behind the scenes content and long form interviews, definitely go over here and come just check out the channel, watch this if you haven't, and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when I post new content. I'm trying to get at least one long podcast up a week here. Hopefully I'll be able to just start putting more content on this channel more regularly. That's the plan. So a few other ways you can help. Come find me over here on Patreon, patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. You just come here. There'll be a link in the description. Links to everything we talk about on this episode, by the way, will be in the description. But come here, click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. You know, you're helping create content on this channel. You guys are what keep this channel alive in the face of everything that happens with the demonetization of YouTube, and how like every video I seem to make is demonetized because who knows why. I'm a conservative Christian who's just talking about the news, but you guys keep this channel alive, so thank you. I can't tell you how much it means to me. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up. If you'll make a one-time or anonymous donation, you guys keep this channel alive. So thank you so much for your support. But before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For today, I want to talk about something that to me is an important message to share. It's out of the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 1 through 5, and it talks about what being a faithful manager means. And I think we're all considered managers of the faith. We're all expected to be promoting the faith and sharing the faith and helping others see Christ in God's incredible glory and grace in their eternal salvation. So I want to read this to you, and then we'll talk about it. It says, "A person should consider us in this way, as servants of Christ and managers of God's mysteries. In this regard, it is expected of managers that each one be found faithful. It is of little importance that I should be evaluated by you or by a human court. In fact, I don't even evaluate myself, for I am not conscious of anything against myself, but I am not justified by this. The one who evaluates me is the Lord. Therefore, Don't judge anything prematurely before the Lord comes, who will both bring to light what is hidden in darkness and reveal the intentions of the hearts, and then praise will come to each one from God. So when I read that, I mean, the message I'm told and I want to share with you is that we're all managers of the glory of Christ in God's mysteries. We're managers or stewards of the faith, if you will. And God calls us to share that with one another. And I like how it says here, it says it's of little importance that I should be evaluated by you or by a human court. In fact, I don't even evaluate myself, for I'm not conscious of anything against myself, but I am not justified by this. So what that means is I don't need to be evaluated. Don't take other people and let them tell you who you are and how you are. You know in your heart. God knows in your heart who you are. You know in your heart who you are. And you need to push yourself to be a righteous man or woman. That's what we're called to do. So when it says there, I'm not justified by this, that means just because I'm telling you not to judge me, or I'm not accepting your judgment or judgment of whatever happens here in this world, doesn't mean that I'm excused for whatever I do. It just means, as it says here, that I submit myself to a higher power. I submit myself to God above. And that's what I encourage everyone to do. So that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it. I want to say thank you all for watching this episode. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. Hit it, punch it, smash it, bop it, twist it, tap it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content, want to see me make more. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching another episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.